Hello and welcome, everybody, to Bodacity's Action Heroes and to the Bodacity Project. It's Jannette Anderson here, your Chief Bodacity Officer. We'll call it that for now. And I'm here with Eileen Head, who is the Relationship Whisperer. So she's here to help you figure out, as I said in the post, how to find a way, get your way, or have your way with whoever you want in your life. So
I like the have your way part.
Exactly. So I met Eileen various different places along the way, and what I know about her is she is the Enneagram expert, and does a lot of her work based on, if not all of her work, based on personality styles, how they mesh together, how they don't mesh together, and providing insights to people on how they can connect, communicate, and really love each other better in relationships using the Enneagram as a foundation. But Eileen, I don't have much about your kind of your background and your current business, so tell me more about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, we were in holiday mode, right? I forgot to say it.
Exactly.
So I'll just share a little bit of my bio with you. I've been called the Relationship Whisperer. My specialty is personality pattern coaching. I'm an author, speaker, coach. I developed the Get Love, Get Desired online relationship program. I use a very unique and specialized approach using personality patterns, and then I can give you very specific information based on your own wiring. I've got singles programs, should I stay or should I go coaching, couple dynamics coaching, tons of stuff. And what's coming up is the operator's manual to getting loved.
Awesome. So yeah, the operator's manual to get love is the quiz that you're putting out right now. And that operator's manual to get love is for people in relationships or wanting a relationship?
Both.
Both?
It's actually, so the quiz is a relationship program. What is your relationship style from your personality? What are some of the traits? How do you recognize other personalities that you know, and it doesn't matter whether you're a couple, whether you're looking to deal with a bossy boss, an ex-partner, crazy coworker, weird dates, Christmas is coming, family members that are cause issues.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
All of those, you know, it's when you recognize personalities are just patterns of behavior. So when you recognize the pattern, you'll understand the person and relate to them. And then you can start predicting behavior like, oh, I know that Uncle Mark is going to act like this because, this is how I deal with them.
All right. So let's take us back just a little bit. What got you interested in all of this relationship work? How did you start going down this path? Because clearly you've got passion for it.
I'll share just a little bit of my story. I met my husband at 16, married at 18, thought he was my Prince Charming and we'd be married forever. And yet from the very beginning, we really had challenges. We had communication challenges, a lot of times where there was no talking, there was confusion. I often felt not enough, not good enough, chronically unhappy, and powerless to change the situation. And that's what was so damaging. And I looked for answers everywhere. I read stacks of self-help books. I took workshops. I devoured marriage manuals. And no matter what I tried, it just seemed to create more of a distance between us. And so after 35 years of pushing the boulder up the mountain, I knew I needed to leave him for me because it was starting to affect my health and my well-being. And so as I left that marriage, I found the Enneagram personalities. And people go, the Ennea what? And they've either heard of the Enneagram or they go, oh my God, I love the Enneagram.
Okay. And so I can hear how challenging that was for you for so long.
Yeah.
And often our expertise or our gifts or what we teach almost always comes out of the wounds we're healing. So clearly you've got a grounding not only in the marriage, but I would assume before that and in the workplace and everything, and wanting to try and get something to work that wasn't working or how to make it work better. So you found the Enneagram and that gave you some answers. Why that particular system though? There's lots of different personality and personology systems. So why that one?
Well, you know, in life, when you're looking and searching for answers, they show up, and the Enneagram showed up for me. My husband asked me to take a relationship course. At the last minute, we'd already decided to separate, and of course, then he wakes up and he wants to do something, and I said, okay, I'll take a relationship course. But all I could find at the time was a relationship course that integrated the Enneagram. And as I read my profile, it was like reading my own biography. It was the biggest aha moment of my life. It was like, oh my gosh, that is me. Oh, those are my strengths. And then it showed me what people valued in me. And that's what we're looking for in all our relationships. Do you value me? Do you see me? Do you know what it is I'm focusing on? What's valuable? And then I read the challenging things, and those stung a little bit when I read them. But here's the cool thing. When you take those challenges and you build them into strengths, that's when you transform. That's where your power is. And then when I read my husband's profile, in 35 minutes, I knew more about him, myself, and our relationship than in all those years we'd struggled together.
Wow.
And so I became really passionate about delving into it and teaching it, because I didn't want other people to struggle like I did. And we all struggle in relationships.
Yeah, totally. Especially because it's like we need this owner's manual. We need that perspective because we're too close to it.
Yeah.
So if you guys have questions along the way, by all means, feel free to add them. I appreciate the hearts and likes, by the way, for both Aura and Marshall, who are here so far. So Eileen, tell me so you also use it in your business. It is the predominant part of your business.
Mm-hmm.
You found a methodology that works for you in relationships. And we'll come back to the relationship questions too.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me how this has really impacted your business.
Before I do that, I just like to give a little bit of background. And people go, the Ennea what? And as I said, either I love the Enneagram, oh my God, or the Ennea what? And so the Enneagram has been around since the 1700s. It's a well-respected model. It's used in corporations. It's used in religions, put the capital sins on it. They teach it that way. Therapists use it. People use it for personal development. And how it's unique from, say, Myers-Briggs and Colors, those personality models predominantly were developed for business. How does your mind work? How do you solve solutions, etc.? The Enneagram teaches you how your personality formed in your family of origin to get the most love and attention. So then you formed these patterns, you formed a belief that you needed to be a certain way, and then these patterns formed your personality. And what you're really looking for is the path of development, which is unique to the Enneagram, is to get you out of the box of the structured and the stuckness of your personality. So to go back to your question, how does it help in business? Tremendously. Every personality has a leadership style, a communication style, a way of handling conflict, a way of approaching conflict, whether it's in personal relationships or business. So when you know your own career currency, you go into your business going, here's my strengths. Here's what I'm really good at. Because we apply for a job, but then we have to fit into a cog, so to speak. And if you're not aware of what your specialty is, and certain personalities tend to go into different segments. You know, the one perfectors, they are the detailed ones, the organized. The two supportive personalities are generally the HR relationship people. The three achiever personality are often the sales people. The four expressor personalities are often the creative people. The five contemplators, they are the data, knowledge, teachers of wisdom, the introverts. The six questioner personality, they're looking for what can go wrong. So they're always got solutions. If that happens, we got this. If that happens. The seven optimisters are the fun, upbeat personalities, and they often are creative as well. The eight asserters often are the managers or CEOs because they have a strong leadership personality. They've got the ability to show people how to be their best self. And the nine peace seeker personality are the ones that get along with everyone. They're the negotiator personalities.
All right, cool. And I'm assuming, like many other systems, you're predominantly one, and you might have aspects of others in there, because as you're describing all of those, I see myself in several of them.
Yeah, well, definitely. We have all those traits. Of course we do. But it's how we focus our attention and what we're looking back for to be validated with. That's how we focus our attention. And that's our home personality type. The cool thing about the Enneagram is it shows you your stress pattern. So those are the patterns that show up when you are stressed, and you go, oh, well, that's not normally who I am, and you're there situationally, and then you go back to your own home type personality. But the cool thing is we all have patterns that sabotage us. Those are the challenging parts. And so when you know how to shift those, and exactly for your personality, exactly which ones and patterns to replace, your growth just goes ahead tremendously.
So you mentioned that the Enneagram takes into account some of how we're formed, and our childhood, and how that impacts us in terms of personality style and coping styles and communication styles. I would have thought that colors and Myers-Briggs and DISC and all of those don't they also take that into account, or is this?
Yeah, I'm sure they do. From my understanding, they do not go into the depth of the path of development.
Okay.
It's more about identifying your traits and your strengths and how to get along with other people and how to communicate.
Okay. And so how do people use this tool if they're not actually Enneagram specialists? Or how can they, use some tips that you've got here today for their relationships if they aren't clear on who they are in this process?
Yeah, it doesn't, the Enneagram sounds really complicated, but people get it really quickly. And what's neat about it is there's names applied to the numbers, the 9 personalities, so that people, instead of trying to remember if I'm an INJ, whatever, they go, oh yeah, that person, they're probably a supporter, or they're an achiever. And you don't need to know specifically which type they are, but if you are aware of the 9 different types, that already starts you on a wealth of information. But if you do take a short course, and it doesn't take much to learn the in-depth of each personality, then you start integrating that into your life. If you're having a challenge with a 2 supporter who's overly intrusive with helping, and maybe he's too touchy-feely, and you're more introverted, you start to create understanding, first of all, compassion and understanding why they are the way they are, and then how to deal with them effectively on a solution, caring, connection basis. It also helps people to understand so much of what's happening is not about us. We think it's all about us, but really people are reacting to patterns, or that you're different from them. And wouldn't it be a boring world if we only had one note, one color, one this, one that? Wouldn't that be boring?
Yeah, absolutely. Although, of course, I happen to think that I would be the right pattern for everybody, but no, I would also go crazy if the world was full of me. So in general, let's start with a couple of tips that you've learned in all of your relationship work for those who don't necessarily know what their Enneagram number is. What are some of the things that you can kind of extrapolate for those who don't know? And then let's talk more specifically about how they can find out what their numbers are, and how to use the tool to be able to support them. But just in terms of relationships in general, what are some ways to bridge the gap when they are at cross purposes, or they look like at one another like they're from different planets?
Yeah. I can break the 9 personalities into 3 different sections. They're called triads. So there's 3 personalities that are emotion-based. They're going to want to relate to you from an emotion perspective. The 2 supporter, the 3 achiever, the 4 expressor. Their world is based on emotions and sensitivity, connecting to their heart. That's how they want to connect with you. To some other personalities, that's maybe too close. Another triad is the thinking. Let's think and let's figure out a strategy for life. So they're always looking at data, they're analytical, they're in their head a lot. And those are the 5 contemplator, the 6 questioner, and the 7 optimister. So if you put those, even if you know, sensitive, emotion type, thinking, you can feel the energy coming from the head. The 3rd triad is the body instinctive. Those are the 5, or the 8 asserter, like yourself, the 9 peace seeker, and the 1 perfecter. So when you understand their strategy for life is that they're trying to make life work for them. So they're figuring out a strategy to engage with people. Even those 3, there's a bit more to it than that, but even those 3 dynamics, you can start to understand people and you can feel their energy. You already know that some people, they just want the facts. They don't want any emotion attached to it. And other people are action people. They just want to get going. Don't slow me down with the emotion. Let's not overthink this. Let's just get going.
Okay, so let's say that someone is would classify themselves as in the emotional category, and they're an analytical or thinker. What are some ways of connecting when there's challenges in the relationships?
Well, this always happens because we're always looking for our opposite. Yeah. Opposite attracts. So what's cool about this is when we want to partner with someone or engage with someone, we're looking for traits that we don't have and strengths. And how do they do that? So when you bring a dynamic together, this is, especially in the beginning, this is exciting. This is what you're looking for. You feel like you've got commonality and compatibility. But then the personality differences, there's frustrations because you have the differences. There is challenges because you fight over the differences all the time. You don't know how to solve them. And the fear is that those will break you apart. So when you understand just basically what's driving each personality, what's important to them, that is going to give you a wealth of information. For instance, I shared a story about windshield wiper fluid. I had a couple come to me that just about broke up over windshield wiper fluid. And so he calls me up and says, I don't think I can do this relationship. Like, she came unglued. I bought a bottle of windshield wiper fluid, and she just absolutely came unglued. And so from her perspective, she's a 5 contemplator. He already had 3 at home. Why would he buy another one? He's saying, I need it right now. I'm not at home. Doesn't go bad. Why wouldn't I? And this is what happens in relationships. We don't fight about the real issues, but these silly little things come up, and you think you're breaking up over that, and it's not really that. So when they came to me, I looked at their profiles together, and she's a 5 contemplator. So they live their life very simplistically. They have an unconscious underlying program that runs that there's never enough time, money, or energy. So why was he wasting money on buying something he still already have? And he's a 2 supporter personality, the emotional personality. She's from the head type. He's from the emotion type. He just wants to connect and the scarcity, the fear of money, that's not in his wheelhouse. So if you're not aware of that for your individual personalities, it's going to be challenging for you to understand, like, why do they get so twisted out of shape about something so inconsequential to me, until you understand.
Right. So then how do they bridge that gap? So understanding is one thing. Certainly you can get a perspective. And then that you go over to the other side and try and see it from that point of view, communicate from that point of view.
Yes. So in his case, he would say, oh, I get why that really upsets you. I really get, you are focused on saving money for retirement. And, this is, so you need to come to common ground and pick your battles, and some things you fight about and other things you let go. That's how you do relationships. So now that he's more aware that this can be a trigger for her, and if she gets upset, he can use logic. When he started to use the logic, because her wheelhouse is logic, he hadn't told her before. He was just upset in his mind. He was saying, well, it doesn't go bad. But he said to her, it doesn't go bad. And I needed it right then. And she can go, oh, that's my pattern, my trigger, that scarcity thing showing up. And isn't this limiting me in my life? I'm going to work on that for me. And so as a couple comes together, they start to recognize their patterns, and they can do some things like, hey, honey, I see your pattern starting, or can I support you? You look stressed. What do you need right now? But you'll know specifically for each personality and be able to communicate it from yours.
So, assuming that you use the Enneagram as a guidance tool as well, I'm assuming you can kind of be predictive about what some of the challenges and strengths are going to be of different relationship types. So, if you're looking for a partner in love, or a business partner, or even a staff member, you can use it to kind of say, well, we really need someone here who's very logical, sequential, and does minute tasks, or we need someone who's really personable, etc. And you can look for particular personality patterns.
Absolutely. And also, for team building, you can do exercises so that you're aware of the strengths of each of the personalities and what they bring. That raises people's confidence. It also raises their, again, their value. For the sixth questioner, who can appear very pessimistic, the glass is half full, something's always going to go wrong, they can sort of be, sometimes people go, oh, you're so negative, I don't want to be around you. The other part of that is they always have a solution. No matter what comes up in an instant, that's their strength. So if they can counterbalance that with saying, well, I'm just being realistic, and so this is what I'm bringing. They work on presenting themselves a little more positive, and the other people really go, they really are good at coming up for solutions. You start recognizing and building that connection with each other. Or you'll say, you know what, I'm stuck here. Like for me, when I'm building programs, I have difficulty thinking my way through the sequences. I had someone who was a thinker come in and help me. Here's what you do. You do this, you do this, you do this. If you don't have those strengths, you go find someone who's good at that, figure out how they do that, then you integrate that in your stuff.
All right. So how do people get the access to the quiz, and how could they use it in terms of application for their business, for example? So is it very complicated to take? Is it very expensive? How do people use this tool if they wanted to?
Well, right now I've got the quiz for the operator's manual program, and you can take that quiz. You've got the link for that, Jannette. And they can start there, and it no matter who you're in relationship with, it doesn't have to be a couple. It can be parent-child, it can be mother-father, it can be ex-partner. That will start to give you some insights into the 9 different types, and then you can delve deeper if you choose.
Okay. And so, and in terms of the work that you do, because you mentioned a whole bunch of things at the beginning, can you go through again what people might contact you for if they're in a relationship and struggling, or if they want to find love? And do you do any work with people in terms of their business? So just tell us a little bit more about that, and then also how to contact you, and I'll put that in the chat or in the comments.
Great. Here's the thing: you take your personality everywhere you go. So you're the same personality at work than you are at home or in your relationships. Sometimes your work personalities are strengths, and then you get home and those strengths are challenges in relationships. So if you're at work, you're a great leader, you've got those strong leadership traits. In a relationship, that can be a little challenging if you're not aware of how that strength is affecting other people. So your business, it's really important to understand your personality and your career currency. Then it's important in your relationships. What are your dynamics together? How you parent as a parent. You have different children. And I forget your original question.
What are some of the actual services or programs that you have that people can take advantage of?
Yeah, wherever you are in your life, whatever challenge you're having, some can be at, is this all there is? And they're looking at the should I stay or should I go conversation? Sometimes people come to me and they're having a challenge at work with a coworker or a boss. I had one fellow come to me, and he's a 7 optimister, so they're fun, upbeat, they like to poke fun at everyone else. And he was having difficulties with his boss, who was an 8 asserter, and I said, they don't like that. They want you to respect them. So I showed him how to shift his style and the way he was talking to his boss. And he said, "Oh my gosh, there's such a difference." He said, "I actually thought I was going to get fired."
Wow.
And now he's inviting me to golf. Um, so it's like it's like a car. You have a knock in the car. You take it to the mechanic. He says the reason you got a knock is this. Um, he tells you about it, fixes it, and off you go down the road again. That's sort of what I do wherever you're at. And most importantly, though, the transformation within yourself. I'm a very different person than I used to be. I'm happier, I'm confident. Nothing really throws me anymore. I know what it is. It can take a while to move through it. I can give solutions when I'm upset, or understand why they have no idea why I'm upset. It's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, and I have definitely seen, because we've known each other for quite a few years off and on from various places, the more that you've kind of matured in the process, and the more you've done this work, definitely the more grounded, confident, competent, and just home I've seen you become. And it's really a lovely transformation to watch. So how do people reach you if they want to get in touch with you? And by the way, all of those things that you were talking about, that's one-to-one coaching? That within? Okay. So
well, there's one-to-one, and then the group coaching that I'm offering now, and you'll give the link for that, or the quiz for that, Jannette. That's going to be starting November 20th.
Okay, and that's a group program. So tell me how they can reach you, first of all. So, and I'll put it.
EileenHead.com.
Eileen at eileenhead.com?
No, EileenHead.com is my website.
Right.
Okay. But I'd like them to, I'd like you to hop on the quiz. Jannette's going to put the link up there. And that's going to take you through a sequence, and you're going to get the quiz and lots of other information.
Okay. And that program, so tell us a little bit about that program.
I call it the Get Loved, Get Appreciated 3-week online operator's manual. It's like getting an operator's manual to the 9 types. And like I said, Christmas is coming. This will be invaluable information. We're going to meet 3 Tuesdays in a row, starting November 20th till December the 4th. It's going to be online. There's going to be lots of, you're going to get the information first on the first 3 personalities, and then we're going to have a great discussion on them. And what I've seen happen in previous courses that I've offered, this one time there was this gal there, and she said, "Oh, my mother's a 2 supporter. I'm just having so many challenges with her. She's intrusive, and this is going on and that's going on." And in the course was another gal who was a 2 supporter, and she said, "Can I tell you what it's like from a mom's perspective? And here's what might be going on, because I'm that personality." And they sort of came together. She learned tools that she could engage her mom and maybe help her mom out of some of those patterns, or just understand and love her for who she is. If mom wants to make the gravy, let mom make the gravy. That's her way of helping, right?
Oh, yes. I've had numerous "you're not making the gravy right" conversations.
Right, with Christmas coming up, right? So it will really help you so much through life in the wealth of knowledge. Just, man, everybody sees it differently, and here's how I can react and interact.
And I assume it'd be a great thing to do with your person that you're in relationship with, if you with a child. Or is there an age limit?
No. Well, I would say teenagers. I would say maybe 15 up if they wanted to join. I've had moms bring their daughters that are having challenges in the relationship, and they were going, "Oh, that's so Dad. Oh, Mom, you're so doing that." Giving a bit of validation to the child, and then showing them what they're great at, because that builds their confidence. Then they don't have to look from their peer group. Am I valuable? Do you like me for this? It's like, here's what I'm really good at, and this is what I know about myself.
Well, I think that's, in life in general, such a valuable thing for people, is to understand our strengths. I can't tell you how many people, that I coach, where one of their fundamental problems in their business is that they don't get their value. They don't get what value they provide. I've had numerous conversations, especially even with people on this call, about that whole claiming our value or understanding it even. What is it? How do we work? How do we operate? How are we different than other people? Because, of course, been positioning ourselves in our business, we're answering the question, why should I pick you to work with? And so having a deeper understanding of our strengths and how we work well and who we work well with would be very beneficial for being able to understand how to position our marketing, position ourselves as the expert for what kind of people and for what kinds of things that we work on.
Yeah, I've even did a workshop where I showed people, the clients, from the client's perspective and what they're looking for from you and how you are doing your business from that personality type. It's been around since the 1700s, so there's a wealth of information on well-researched, well-documented, because this is taught at Stanford University, this program. And, the FBI uses it for profiling because it's pretty accurate. Like, it's really cool when you can understand a person, even when they're behaving badly, you can go, oh, that's that personality that, there's 9 levels of development. And so, that's probably that personality, and that's where they're at. That's natural to them, to all of us, until we become more aware, right? What is it I'm doing? It's not working. And, for your own growth, I used to feel like I was clothes on a clothesline. My hands were attached, but my feet were flapping in the wind. And I was somebody for everybody. You need me to be this way, I can be that way. I can do this, I can do that. When you know your value, no one can take it away from you. And that's what I stand in now, is the foundation. I know who I am.
Cool. That's fabulous. I love that. Okay, so I want to just ask one last question before we wrap up here. That's not really about what we've been talking about. It's more about you as an entrepreneur, because one of the things that we encourage in Bodacity and Bodacity's Action Heroes is making the leap. So whether in our personal lives or our business lives, whether it's building our bold business or our bold life, we really want to support, especially women, but everybody, in making the leap from where they are to where they want to be. And typically that's not just a little, there are times where it's an incremental process up the mountain, but there are times where we just have to actually leap into the unknown, leap into the scary, leap into the, unimagined, and take that literally quantum leap. How did you do that when it came time for you to really move into your business and your passion? Because this was your background. So what did you do before you were an entrepreneur?
A bookkeeper.
Bookkeeper, okay.
So how
did you move from that world into being an entrepreneur? What was it that was part of your process of making the leap for you?
Well, I came to realize that even in bookkeeping, the reason I was doing bookkeeping was because I like to help people. And I had this skill from my background. I was a banker first, and then I stayed home with my kids and did a business from my home. The leap is, we're always looking to grow ourselves. We're looking for that confidence. And it's a journey. It's a journey of putting ourselves out there. But again, with the Enneagram, you know what your strengths are. You know how to develop yourself and grow. So for me, that's really been the deep understanding of who I am, so that I could step into it. When I saw the picture of the higher version or the best version of myself, now I can move towards that. And it's not like going to a Tony Robbins, workshop and everybody comes out, rah, 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 we're all positive and everything's all great. And then we go back to our same personality traits, right? With this, it's like, this is what I can work towards. This is what I can work on. This is what's sabotaging me. This is who I am. This is my strengths. These are my gifts. And you keep going back to your strengths, to your gifts. And that's what helped me step out. That's what helped me step into becoming bigger. What I'm doing, I could never imagine years ago. Never imagine a tiny bit of this. But people like you along the way have supported me, encouraged me, validated what you saw in me. And that's what you do. You surround yourself with people like you and like your group, where we support each other, we hold each other up, we make notes, I love that about you, or that's so great. You get a tribe too of women.
So part of what helped you make your leap was really understanding and calling on your strengths, really resting in the arms of that knowledge about who you were, having encouragement along the way, and creating a support structure for you, to really keep you in process and so on in the game. But do you remember when you decided that you were going to go from being a bookkeeper to becoming a coach and having this business? Do you remember when you made that decision?
Oh, absolutely. The minute I took my profile.
Okay.
I started my training for the Enneagram while I was still in that course.
Okay.
Like, it was like the heavens opened and there were angels singing and it was like, whoa! I was just like, I knew there were answers somewhere. I just was unable to find them before that. And when I saw this and I thought, you can actually take and put this together to help people understand themselves and their relationships. It was divinely timing, divinely intended. And I do feel that. I feel that I'm on the divine path of this is my life purpose.
Cool. So it sounds like when you saw a really great way to be able to be who you are, which is the supporting style, it allowed you to move from, which incidentally, I'd have thought a bookkeeper, I would have automatically assumed that they were a thinker, that they were logical, sequential kind of thing. And it just goes to show that you can be any style because you were using bookkeeping as a vehicle for helping people.
Yes.
And finding this tool, this methodology allowed you to deepen the support that you were able to provide, to deepen the conversation, to deepen the engagement, and to support them in ways that was more meaningful to your heart, which was about relationships versus just numbers in a book. So it allowed you to deepen into what you really felt called to in your heart.
And before that, I had different clients and they bring their stuff differently. They use their money differently. They focus on their business differently. And it was kind of fascinating to me about how different people did life. And then when I learned the Enneagram was, aha, now I know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, awesome. Now I know we had talked about, and I don't have my calendar in front of me right now, you were going to be available to do a quick Q&A with anybody who wanted to check back in on Wednesday, right?
Wednesday. What time on Wednesday is that? I thought 1 o'clock.
I'm just going to go check real quick.
I thought 1 o'clock
1 p.m. Yeah, 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Eileen's going to be here to answer any questions if you have them, because I know many of you missed this this recording on Mondays. So at 1 o'clock, she's just going to be here for a few minutes. If you've got some specific questions about you, a relationship you're in, perhaps a boss or a coworker, kids, if you've got relationships, challenges or issues, then bring them on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Eileen will be here to answer questions and interact with you directly. All right, and thank you.
One thing I might mention, Jannette, if they take the quiz ahead of time, then I can give them specifics.
That's right.
And if they can guess sort of what personality the challenging person is, but specifically for them, if they've sort of figured out their personality, then I can, instead of giving generic, I can get very specific.
Perfect. Awesome. And the link is in the both the Bodacity page and in the Bodacity Action Heroes. So go ahead and take the quiz. Doesn't take very long. I'm going to go do it right now. And so that way you'll have more specific information there. And I know one of the questions I'm going to have is, in terms of business partners and people that I'm calling in as primary supporters in my business, what's the best balance for me, and what do I need to kind of call in and really attend to? Because I have notions of what I think I should have, but I'm not entirely sure that's true. So,
so let me know what role, like you're going to ask me what role they're looking to fill, and then I'll be able to help you with that.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for being here, Eileen. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate you being here, Oren, Marshall, and we'll see. I know many of you watch this after the fact. Please do try and join us Mondays from 12 to 12:30 approximately for either Ask the Experts or Mentor Moments. We'll be having a lot more experts coming up through, especially in the new year, but over the course of the next month and a bit. So please join us from 12 to 12:30 on Mondays for a mentor's moment or an Ask the Experts. Thanks for being here, Eileen. I
Can
love
I just say one thing?
Sure.
Jannette, you are brilliant at coming up with taglines, with really being able to see, we have our own spin on it or how we see it, but you can step outside of it. And that bossy boss, crazy coworker, you gave me that. On my online Get Love program, you said be, find, and connect. I'll have to look, or whatever that is, to get loved. You gave that to me. You are brilliant as a mentor and a coach.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And I didn't even pay her, you guys. So thank you, Eileen, for being here. And I love the passion that you have for what you do. It's part of what drives you and your heart. And I know you are such a contributor. Every group that I've ever seen you in, people are clustered around you going, do me, tell me. So I love that you are so generous with your time and your heart. You guys go check out the quiz. It's there in the chat. And take it, and then come on Wednesday. You'll have a unique opportunity, because she charges for this stuff. So you guys come and take advantage of her, and learn some things about who you're currently with or who you want to be with. And by all means, I encourage you to check out her course. And it's quick, it's fast between now and the end of the year, so you can get really clear on, if you're not in a relationship, who you want to call in the new year. That's what I'm looking at it for. And if you are looking at it in terms of business, what's working, what's not working, and how can you address that? So lots of good practical help. Thank you for being here, my friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you soon. And until then, have a bodacious week. Bye, everybody.